Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Imani Forrester, author of the book 30 Reasons Why Men Deserve Nothing. It's available right now on Amazon, and you can always read it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. Now, in today's video, I found two very interesting stories from two young women who are in very questionable relationships with males who are negging them. And you'll see what I mean. So, yeah, we'll just jump right into today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. So the first story comes from the relationship advice section. And the person says, so their female boyfriend, who's 20 male, keeps bringing up that I'm tall and calling me a giraffe when he's still quite a bit taller than me. Why does he still do that when I've told him I don't like it? So she says, my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years, and I should clarify I'm not really that tall, not abnormally. I'm about 5'11. And while I know I'm probably quite tall, I just don't think about it. I did hate it when I was younger, but I've kind of gotten over it mostly. It's just genetics. My father is tall, and my mother's kind of tall, so it just happened. Luckily, I don't live in a particularly short country. It came up because I do a sport a lot, and I'm hoping to make it my career, and it's been making my knees really sore. I was with my boyfriend and I was rubbing my knees because sometimes it helps a bit. He asked me, what am I doing? And I said my knees were sore. He then said if I wasn't such a giraffe, they wouldn't be sore. He said it in a nice way, I think, but it did hurt my feelings. I asked him if he could please not say that because I don't like my height being pointed out like that and I can't control it. He said it was just a joke, so I let it go. And like I've said on this channel, like a million times. These guys are not funny. These are not jokes. They're just saying mean things, and then when you say, "Hey, that was mean," "Oh, I was joking around." They're just excuses. If someone's funny, wouldn't it just make you laugh? Like if you have to say, "I'm joking," doesn't that mean you're not funny? Anyway, she says, but then we were going somewhere and he said I shouldn't wear heels because it would make me stand out too much and I'd look weird. I really like those particular shoes just because they're a really pretty pair that my father got me, and that made me feel really bad about them. Because I like them, but now I feel like I shouldn't be wearing them because I don't want to look stupid. So see how he's slipping in these doubts into her mind and just making her feel insecure like he does, you know? That's what I find with a lot of these insecure guys. When they don't like something about themselves, they don't just go and get some therapy. They don't just keep it to themselves. They don't work on themselves. They don't try to improve themselves in other ways. Instead, they just project onto their partner, and try to pull them down alongside them. If they're in a bad headspace, if they're going through some kind of, depression, they try to bring you into that same space. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to be with insecure men. They will destroy your mental health. Anyway, she says, now that I think back, he said a lot of things like that, and it makes me feel bad. I try my best to tell him I don't like it, but he doesn't seem to understand that it does make me feel bad. No, this is weaponized incompetence. If you tell someone I don't like this, if they're an adult with like a functioning brain, they totally understand that you don't like it. Like he knows. He knows and he likes that you don't like it. Like that's why he keeps doing it. I guess maybe because men like being tall, but I feel like everyone thinks women shouldn't be tall and that it's kind of weird if you are. And I've had several people ask if I'm lesbian, which is weird. That is weird. Your height has nothing to do with your sexuality, so that's bizarre. Those people are weird. I just wish he could understand why it makes me feel bad, and I don't really understand why he doesn't, and it confuses me. Oh dear, she's young, so we'll give her that grace. But some dudes are insecure and they're abusive. And if they feel bad about themselves, they want you feeling bad about yourself too. But let's see what other people had to say. So one commenter says, regardless of how tall he is compared to you, that isn't the point. You shouldn't be with anyone who constantly insults you and makes belittling comments about your appearance, especially something as innate as your height. You should absolutely wear what you feel comfortable and confident in, and if he doesn't like it, find a guy who does. I don't see much of a joke in constantly putting you down when it clearly hurts your feelings. It comes across like he actually doesn't like you. Thank you. This guy doesn't like her. Oh dear. And then OP says, I think he must at least somewhat, because otherwise he wouldn't be with me, but I'm starting to think it's not much. No, guys will be with women that they don't like. Women offer males a lot of benefits, whether or not the male actually likes the woman or not. That's why they always tell you to settle. If he can't find his ideal type, he's going to still be with you. Like, that's something she'll hopefully, like, understand as she gets older. Someone said he might just like having someone around to put down. And then someone else said, bingo. Another commenter said, your story reminds me of a guy who told his girlfriend that she had bad body odor all the time. Turns out she didn't. He was just trying to make her insecure so he could be sure she wouldn't leave him. Spoiler alert, she left. He's either negging you for the same reason or he's genuinely a jerk. And WTF does anyone's height have to do with their sexuality? That's just idiotic. Regardless, life is too short to spend with people who make you feel bad, whether that's your friends, boyfriend, what have you. Exactly. Another commenter said, this is a mistake so many people make. But why are they with me if they don't like me or want me? Because that's not what he's looking for. He wants a punching bag, someone to make small. He wants someone that will accept abuse. This is not about your height. If you were short, he'd say you're too short and call you a mouse. If you were average, he would call you plain or fat or scrawny or whatever. The actual insult is interchangeable. The point is to bring you down. And then I'm going to end it on this note where another person says, shitty guys like to neg their girlfriends to make them feel bad about themselves, and they think that they can't do any better, and therefore they stay with them. Exactly. That's the main point. This is negging. This is just a form of narcissistic abuse, and she's super young. I think every woman, unless you're super lucky, you're gonna face some sort of abusive male at some point if you're dating them, and they're going to deploy one of these pickup artist loser tactics. And so it's just, I'm glad that she did bring this story to the internet, and I hope that she breaks up with him, honestly. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts on this story, and we're gonna head into the next one. So let's get into it. So again, this is out of the relationship advice section of Reddit. And OP writes, my female 32 husband, male 32, has been acting very rude towards me because he looks older than I. How do I address this issue and get him to stop? She says, this is a bit of an odd situation that has been brewing for over a month or so. My husband and I are the same age. I look young for my age. I'm not bragging, I'm just aware of this. I've had people tell me this or assume I'm in my early 20s. My husband doesn't look old, but he does look his age. This is not a bad thing. And it all boils down to genetics, as my parents didn't start looking older, getting wrinkles, until they were in their 50s. Same with most of my family. Recently, he has become very passive aggressive due to this fact, and he's even accused me of going behind his back to get surgery or treatments to look younger than him on purpose to make him look bad. That's delusional. We literally had an argument that, like, where would she find wouldn't you notice facial surgery on your own wife? Like, okay. We literally had an argument that lasted over 3 days and ended up with him not speaking to me for a full day because he had convinced himself that I was going behind his back to get filler, Botox, laser treatments, etc. I have never had any work done at all. I just look like this and he does not like it. So you're mad that your wife is pretty. You're mad that your wife looks youthful. What? So they get upset if you let yourself go, quote unquote, let yourself go. But they're also upset if you look great. Like I said, insecure men are not people you should be with. They will destroy your mental health. There's something innately wrong in their own minds, and they need to be in therapy. They need to be in therapy. And that's not an insult. A lot of people can use therapy. But these particular guys who are sabotaging their relationships, this guy's out here deluding himself into thinking his wife is sneaking out, late at night and getting Botox? I don't know. It's very odd. But, anyways, she says, yesterday his sister came over. She got married about 2 months ago ish and came over to show us some of the wedding pictures. My husband and I were in some of these pictures, and as soon as he saw one with the both of us in it, he shut down, left the room, and told his sister to get the F out of his house. Well, okay. It was very odd, and we were both a bit startled and tried to calm him down, but he just blew up even more and screamed in her face to get out, so she did. His own sister. This is glaring red flags. This is awful. I got angry and asked him what the problem is, and he went off on this whole rant about how it's not fair that I look half his age and that women are supposed to, quote, age like milk. No idea what this means, while men are supposed to age like fine wine. See, see, these are those delusional narratives that are being pushed by the manosphere. That's what I feel. Age like milk, women are supposed to age like milk, men are supposed to age like fine wine. No, people who, it depends on your genetics, first of all, but people who have less stress in their lives, people who take care of themselves, who work out, who take care of their skin, who eat well, are just going to age better. I wonder what their diets are like, but genetics play a huge role. But yeah, I've never liked or like believed in that whole like women age like milk thing. I think, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent a bit, but I think that if it's true, if people have noticed that like women age pretty badly in general, I bet it's women who have husbands and women who have children and who don't get a lot of help because stress will age you. And like men stress women out. It's already a known fact that women who are married die younger than women who are single. And, stress causes so many diseases. So I'm sure that a woman who is married, yeah, she's going to age rapidly compared to her counterpart who's single. And maybe that's where the stereotype comes from because there's so many stressed out women taking care of like husbands and children. And then the men are well cared for. Men who are married live longer than men who are single because they get to dump off all of their stress, all of their work, onto women. So maybe that's where that comes from. I don't think it's natural. I think if it's true, it's more so manufactured by society. But anyways, I told him that this is a ridiculous way of thinking, since a lot of the aging process has to do with genetics or lifestyle. So it didn't make sense to expect everyone or everyone of a specific gender to age the same way. Exactly. He kind of refused to listen to me at that point and has now become obsessed with looking into plastic surgery slash facelifts and keeps passive aggressively asking me how much mine cost and where I go to get mine. He's being very cruel and keeps making all these little digs at me, and I don't like it. How do I get him to stop, and how do I calm down his fears regarding aging? Well, let's see what people have to say about this situation. So, one commenter says, you can't help him. He needs to realize he's unwell and get therapy. Thank you. 3.9K likes. Nearly 4,000 people agree. Somebody else says, absolutely. To scream in his sister's face over photos, he needs serious help. I would be double thinking my marriage if he continues to ask you about your quote facelifts. Another person says, makes me think he was looking forward to cheating with a younger woman, but isn't having any luck. As someone who inherited the slow to wrinkle genes and has to deal with some partner weirdness as well, this was my experience. He was supposed to be able to drop me when I, quote, hit the wall for some 20-year-old. Instead, he's the one striking out, and I dropped his condescending, bitter behind. I'll be 45 this year and still don't look like it. That's such a good point, too. Yes, yes, the manosphere loves to preach this whole hit the wall nonsense as if men aren't also aging, and as if all men age better than all women. Whereas the reality that I've seen personally is that a lot of like 30 something year old men are like obese and bald with bulging stomachs. The wall is hitting them in their 30s and they are flailing, and then they project all sorts of nonsense onto women to make you feel bad about yourself. No, a lot of women out here look great in their 30s. A lot of them look great in their 40s and 50s because they actually take care of themselves. See, manosphere is bad for everybody. It's deluding guys. When they're hit with reality, they're upset. The manosphere helps nobody. I don't know if this. Okay, I'll read it. Somebody says, I was going in that direction too, but I was thinking that he must have somebody who is younger than him that he's trying to get with, but because he looks like the Crypt Keeper, it's not working for him and he's upset. Or he just might need therapy because something ain't right. I'm going to assume that he did not do very well in biology because genetics has a lot to do with why you look the way you look and age the way you age. Does he spend a lot of time in the sun? Does his father look older than he actually is? He needs to go to a therapist and stop taking that crap out on you before his old looking ass is alone trying to figure out what the hell happened. Another commenter writes, "This is very strange. First, a 32-year-old man does not even look old, and he is too young for a midlife crisis. Even if he has some reason to be Even if he has some reason to be dissatisfied with his appearance, his behavior is wild. There's something really wrong with him psychologically. I don't really have any useful advice. Perhaps you can seek therapy to guide you on how to deal with this. I fear it will escalate. Keep an eye on him for any other signs of irrational behavior. Maybe he has a brain tumor or something. Good luck." OP writes, "He does not even look old at all. He seems to be hyper focusing on things that are not an issue. He's been complaining about creases on his forehead and smile lines around his eyes, but they are normal. We move our faces, and that's just what happens. I might try to talk to a therapist for myself. That's a good idea." One commenter writes, "On behalf of all the citizens of this planet, leave this dude. He's full on nuts, and he sounds like he's one offhanded comment away from absolutely snapping and doing something crazy. Please leave. You deserve better, OP." So one person says, "Seriously, this is just weird. Most men want their wives to look young. I mean, there's entire dating sites devoted to older guys finding younger girls. Being jealous of you is kind of bizarre. He should be proud. He needs to work on himself, physically and mentally." So someone says, "Honestly, it sounds like he thought he was the hot one in your relationship, and something made him realize he wasn't. Has he recently made any new friends that he's introduced you to? It's possible that someone said something like, 'Whoa, how old is your wife? She looks so much younger than you.' Regardless of the reason, he's being abusive, and you need to realize that." So one commenter says, "It's a thing that men on the Alpha podcast or the Manosphere talk about. They use such phrases to give themselves passes to go after young women, and not to alarm you, but they say such things to give themselves a superiority complex about cheating on their girlfriends/wives who are, quote, past their prime. The way he is using it makes it sound like he's having some sort of issue with you not aging, and that he can't give himself this pass to cheat. I don't know if that's what's happening, but he could be combining a personal midlife crisis about facing aging with phrases he's finding in some sort of internet binge. Overall, I'd personally be worried about his language, and couples therapy would be an immediate non negotiable with my husband if he suddenly started spouting this phrasing. Much less with it being combined with anger at his sister and believing you are lying to him." And then someone else says, "Yes, this is a common idiom from the red pill set. The idea that the middle aged dudes are apparently in their prime and deserve to, yikes, mess with teenagers. As soon as a teenage girl is active, she ages 30 years and looks like a crone. Reality doesn't actually work like this, of course. I would be very concerned about what forums and podcasts and YouTube videos your husband has been getting into. I would be very concerned he was consuming red pill or other manosphere content. Please be aware, if so, because he is not safe." And I'm going to end this off with a very insightful comment that anyone can really take to heart. So this commenter writes, "Has something happened to him, something that affected him deeply, some podcast he's heard? While this doesn't excuse him from acting like an ass, it could explain this sudden, huge shift in behavior. It sounds like a good first step might be to ask his mom to talk to him before you bring up therapy. Somehow you and his sister are tangled up in his aberrant thinking. Hopefully he still sees his mom as a safe person and he'll open up. Please leave your home as safely as possible if he, quote, starts in on you again. Sudden, huge shifts in behavior are warning signs. You cannot reason with someone who isn't thinking rationally, nor can you predict what they'll do next. You never expected him to speak to you this way. Don't wait for a he would never physical reaction. Be prepared. Have a to-go bag stashed in your trunk. Have a line ready. I'm taking out the garbage. Neighbor is waiting for me to bring over some casserole. I'm running to the store. Do you want anything? Turn off your location. Please be ready. He's throwing out a lot of red flags at you." And then someone says, "I hope that OP reads this. You can't reason with someone who isn't thinking rationally. I worry for her safety." Do you see how easily these little comments, these little negging, mean jokes can escalate into something that is very dangerous? Insecure guys are dangerous. If someone who is supposed to love you, is supposed to be your partner, is constantly tearing you down, you're telling them, "Hey, I don't like it," or they're making up lies about you and getting angry over those lies, and you're telling them, "Hey, that's not the truth." If they seem deluded, it can get violent. These are scary situations. I hope the young 19-year-old gets out of her relationship because trying to tear down someone's self esteem just because you think that your partner is too tall is just insane. Like, go date someone shorter and leave her alone. She literally can't change her height. And as for this story, like, you just married someone who ages well. I would think that that would be a positive, but it's like these males aren't happy either way. You're either letting yourself go, or why do you look so youthful? Like, just demented. This is why a lot of people are choosing the bear. This is why a lot of women are deciding, you know what? I've got my friends, I've got my pets, my hobbies, my great job, I've got my family. I don't need this extra stress, because who needs this? I'd prefer to be single than to take this any day, personally. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments what you thought of these two stories. Have you ever been through anything similar? How did you get out of it? Or do you know anyone who's been through something like that? Definitely share your stories in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, thanks for watching.